जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शील प्रभुपदा जय विष्णुपाद परम चतुर्थ सदस्य श्रीमती श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन संस्थापक श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परम चतुर्थ सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद श्री गौर किशोरदास महाराज की जय। जय विष्णुपाद सच्चिदानंद श्रील भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर की जय। जय विष्णुपाद वैष्णव श्री जगन्नाथ दास महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य भगवान त्यागदास श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौरव भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपकुंड श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री गौरांगी बहन गौरेश्वर भगवान की जय। श्री मायपुर धाम की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। कंकमाई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। इस्कॉन वर्तमान गुरुवंद की जय। समाज भक्तों गौरव प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembly. All glories to the assembly. All glories to the assembly. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। अष्टप्रायेषु अपत्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishnavi. Nice to meet you. Hare Krishna, welcome to the Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 41. Agniruvacha yatte jasaham susamidda teja abhyam vahe swadvara ajyasiktam tam yajniyam panchavidam cha panchabhihi shvishtam yajurbihi pranatosmi yajnam Agniruvacha tatteja tejasaham susamidda teja abhyam vahe swadvara ajyasiktam tam yajniyam panchavidam cha panchabhihi shvishtam yajurbihi pranatosmi yajnam Agniruvacha yattejasaham susamidda teja abhyam vahe swadvara ajyasiktam tam yajniyam panchavidam cha panchabhihi shvishtam yajurbihi pranatosmi yajnam. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The fire god said, My dear Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because by your favor I am as luminous as blazing fire, and I accept the offerings mixed with butter and offered with sacrifice. The 5 kinds of offerings, according to Yajurveda, are all your different energies, and you are worshipped by 5 kinds of Vedic hymns. Sacrifice means your supreme personality of Godhead. What would Srila Prabhupada ki jai? In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that yajna should be transformed. Yajna should be performed for Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu has 1000 popular transcendental names, out of which one name is Yajna. It is clearly said that everything should be done for the satisfaction of Yajna or Vishnu. All other actions a person may take are only causes for his bondage. Everyone has to perform Yajna according to the Vedic hymns. As stated in the Upanishads, fire, altar, the way auspicious full moon, the period of 4 months called Chaturmasya, the sacrificial animal, and the beverage called Soma are necessary requisites, as are specific hymns mentioned in the Vedas and composed of 4 letters. One hymn is as follows: Ashravayeti Chatur Aksharam Astu Shaushat iti Chatur Aksharam Yajeti Bhabhyam Ye Yajamaha. These mantras chanted according to the Shruti and Smriti literatures are only to please Lord Vishnu. For the deliverance of those who are materially conditioned and attached to material enjoyment, performing yajna and following the rules and regulations of the 4 divisions of society and of spiritual life are recommended. It is said in the Vishnu Purana that by offering sacrifice to Vishnu, one can gradually be liberated. The whole target of life, therefore, is to please Lord Vishnu. That is yajna. Any person who is in Krishna consciousness has dedicated his life for the satisfaction of Krishna, the origin of all Vishnu forms, and by offering worship and prasada daily, he becomes the best performer of yajna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated that in this age of Kali, the only successful performance of yajna or sacrifice is yajna sankirtana praye. The best type of sacrifice is simply to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This yajna is offered before the form of Lord Chaitanya, as other yajnas are offered before the form of Lord Vishnu. These recommendations are found in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Moreover, this yajna performance confirms that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Vishnu himself. As Lord Vishnu appeared at the Daksha Yajna, long ago, Lord Chaitanya has appeared in this age to accept our Sankirtana. Om Agyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Vritam Ina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Vidapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakarjatam Sagan Raghunathanvitam Tam Sjivam Satvaitam Savadvitam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagan Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Ye Krishna Karunasindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Saptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavneshwari Vishavanishte Devi Namami Hari Priya Panchakalpadar Vishaka Vasni Vishapaditana Pavni Vaishnava Purnamana Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhagavan Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Moham Karadu Achalam Pankam Nangal Gidan Yatkapada Muhammad Shri Guru Dinata Parmanda Matam Shri Chaitanya Ishwara. Hare Krishna. So here in this verse, in this series of verses, we see so many demigods, rishis offering prayers to Lord Shiva to complete the yajna. In this particular verse, we see the fire god Agni. He's offering prayers to Lord Shiva, saying, he's offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. He says, "My dear Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you because by your favor I am as luminous as blazing fire, and I accept the offerings mixed with butter and offered in the sacrifice." So the fire god Agni admits that he has got that illuminous factor in him, and that illuminous this thing is because of the mercy of Lord Krishna. And also, he is accepting the offerings that the Brahmanas give on the Homakunda, Yajnakunda, by chanting the mantras, etc. So, in a way, he is glorifying the Supreme Lord, that it is because of the mercy of the Supreme Lord that he is able to even accept this offering and uh, pass it on to the Supreme Lord itself. So, there's mentioned the purport that Lord Vishnu has got more than 1,000 popular transcendental names, out of which one name is Yajna. So Yajna means Vishnu himself, means they are non-different. Anything that is done for satisfy Lord Vishnu is a source of liberation, whereas anything that is done otherwise causes only bondage to a person in this material world. So in the Vedas, it is said that one should perform this yajna by offering fire, altar, auspicious full moon, the period of 4 months called Chaturmasya, the sacrificial animal, and beverages. These are all some basic prerequisites, along with, of course, the hymns that are mentioned in the Smriti and Shruti Shastras. Now, in the Satya Yuga, the process of deliverance was meditation. In Tirtha Yuga, the process of deliverance was performing sacrifices. And then as the age started degrading, in Dwapara Yuga, it was temple worship, deity worship in the temple. And in Kali Yuga, of course, all these processes are not practically possible. So the recommended process is chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Now, if one does not perform this yajna or sacrifice basically means offering something to a higher personality for a higher purpose. In the human form of life, there is a tendency to accumulate and also accumulate results of one's activities, which binds a person into this material world. So in order for those who are materially conditioned and attached to material enjoyment, these processes are recommended in the Shastras. So by offering this sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, one becomes liberated. Now, any person who is already practicing this Krishna consciousness, the Prabhupada has mentioned, for the satisfaction of Krishna or Vishnu, who is the origin of all the forms, by offering worship and offering prasada daily, he already becomes the best performer of yajna, because all the other processes are practically not possible. Now, in the yajna, there are several factors that are involved. For example, the ingredients that one offers in the fire. Basically, what happens is that when one offers these ingredients to the fire in the kunda, this which is supposed to be the mouth of the Supreme Lord himself. So when one offers oblations like one ingredients and etc., and chant the mantras, the Supreme Lord becomes pleased, and he comes and honors the sacrifice. And then, of course, devatas are also invited. But what happens is that the devatas are distributed after when the yajna is over. The remnants of the sacrifice are offered to the devatas, for whom also Lord Vishnu is the origin. Lord is the origin of devatas also, as he mentions in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Bhoktaranam Yajñatavadam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. But what happens is that these days the Brahmanas don't have the real understanding. Also, very many places, one who hosts these Brahmanas and asks them to perform yajna, they don't know the reality. The Brahmanas who come and chant the mantras, they are also not aware of the reality. And in the process, what happens is that they hosts sometimes say that I want a sacrifice to be performed to Goddess Lakshmi because they want wealth from by arranging a sacrifice to please her. Some say that we want a sacrifice to be performed to Lord Ganesha, Lord Shiva, to eliminate obstacles in their life. Now, these devatas are not independent of Lord Vishnu. They are all dependent on Lord Vishnu. But because they are not aware of the truth, they invite the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are also not aware of the reality. The ingredients that one gets need not be pure, because unless and then the ingredients are pure, the Lord and the devatas don't accept these offerings. The process of recitation of the mantras has to be very, very purifying. If the Brahmanas are not pure, if they are not able to chant the mantras properly with that purification, the yajna need not be effective. That is why it is said that in Kali Yuga, these things, yajnas, have no effect at all. The process is not wrong, but in the age, it is not possible. These Brahmanas are supposed to be doing these. Their duties are Yajan, Yajan, Padan, Padan, Dana, Pratigraha. That means they are supposed to perform yajna and they are supposed to make others perform the yajna. So when the Lord is name is chanted, the Lord is invited. And when the Devatas mantras are chanted, the Devatas are also invited. So it is part of an ongoing process for all the Brahmanas to continue this yajna process. But because the quality is lacking, the effect is not realized. And if one does all these things properly, then there is prosperity. And if it is not done properly, then generally there are miseries only, which we see today. Even after performance of these sacrifices, society is not peaceful. So here there is a mention that in the Kali Yuga, the Sankirtana Yajna is the most effective, and Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes pleased when devotees come together and chant the holy names of the Lord together. So by chanting the glories of the Lord, that pleases the Lord, and by preaching the glories of the Lord also, that is also a means of Sankirtan. Sankirtan means devotees coming together and chanting the glories of the Lord. So Sankirtan means Kirtan means preaching, and San means coming together. So it's sort of a group coming together in group and glorifying the Lord himself. There is a quotation given in the purport by Srila Prabhupada from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which says that Krishna Varnam, Vishakrishnam, Sangopangashtha Parsadam, Ejjane Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumedasaha. So in the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential weapons. So, in this age of Kali, everyone is degraded in terms of their intelligence and etc. So, those who are really intelligent, they take to the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, coming together and worship the incarnation of Godhead. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna himself. And when Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears, he comes along with his associates. That means we recite the mantra Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. So they are all his associates, his servants, and then the weapons and confidential companions. The many associates who also appeared with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the weapon is the chanting the holy name of the Lord, not any other weapon. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's a quotation as to how Parishit Maharaj attained the highest perfection, that is shelter at the Lord's Krishna's lotus feet, simply by hearing about Lord Vishnu. Sukadeva Goswami attained perfection simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj attained perfection by remembering the Lord. Goddess of Fortune attained perfection by massaging the transcendental legs of Mahavishnu. Maharaj Prithu attained perfection by worshipping the deity, and Akrura attained perfection by offering prayers unto the Lord. Hanuman attained perfection by rendering service to Lord Ramachandra. Arjuna attained perfection simply by being Krishna's friend. Bali Maharaj attained perfection by dedicating everything to the lotus feet of Krishna. So in other words, we see that the 9 pros of devotional service have been utilized by each of these personalities, and they all became achieved perfection by utilizing this one of the pros of devotional service. There is a quote from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura also given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which says, the Brihat Mridanga, or the great Mridanga, that is the printing press, is also Sankirtan, because devotees preach the glories of the Lord through the medium of book distribution, which is also preaching the glories of the Lord. So when we distribute the books of given by the movement by Srila Prabhupada, we are preaching the glories of the Lord, because ultimately when somebody buys the book, he also will read it sometime or the other. So that is why preaching is also a means of Sankirtan, and one of the means is book distribution. There is a quote from Kandapuram which states that I offer my obeisances unto him, the infallible, because simply by either remembering him or vibrating his holy name, one can attain perfection of all penances, sacrifices, or fruitive activities, and this process can be universally followed. So here we see that in this quote also, it says that one offers obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, who is addressed as infallible. That means we are all fallible. We can come down to this material world at any time from the spiritual world where we were originally. But the Lord is not infallible, fallible, he is infallible. The Lord does not fall down at any point of time. He remains the Supreme Lord at all point of time. So by here he offers obeisance to the Supreme Lord. He says, because simply by remembering him or vibrating his holy name, one can attain all perfection of all the penances, sacrifices, or fruitive activities. That means whatever performance, penance one performs, whatever sacrifice one performs, whatever fruitive activities one performs, all the results of all these can be achieved by simply remembering the holy name of the Lord and vibrating his names. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, there is a very nice quote which says that even by the dancing of the Lord's servants, all obstacles are destroyed and the entire world is purified. There is a quote that Mother Earth is immediately purified by the touch of the dust from the feet of the Vaishnavas who dance to the sound of Sankirtan. So those who chant the mantra of the Lord and those who dance to the sound of the Sankirtana, by their simply dancing also, it is said that Mother Earth is immediately purified. Otherwise, we see there's a quote in Srimad Bhagavatam 8th canto where it says that Mother Earth can tolerate any amount of weight, but she cannot tolerate the weight of a sin, weight of a person who lies, who gives a lie. That means the Mother Earth tolerates so much of weight in this. We see so many vehicles, so many people are there. Mother Earth is tolerating that, but she cannot tolerate the weight of a lie if a person speaks a lie. This is in the quote of the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But such Mother Earth is also, it says that she is immediately purified by the touch of the dust of the feet of the Vaishnavas who dance to the Sankirtan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also himself said by example, it is said that once Shivananda Sena came along with his wife and a 7-year-old boy. So they all offered obeisances, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the boy to chant the name of Krishna, but the boy would not utter the names. Shivananda Sevana then tried his level boys to make the boy chant the Lord's name, but he would not utter. Srimad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I have induced the whole world, even the trees and immovable plants, to chant the name of Krishna, but I could not induce this boy. Then Sarup Damodara Prabhu, who was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's secretary, he was standing next to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he said, you have already given initiation to this boy. The boy chants the mantra, but in his mind he is chanting. Another day he will chant loudly also. So the boy then later on, after hearing this, he composed some very beautiful prayers on Krishna, which astonished everyone. And that is how Mahaprabhu became pleased, and Shivananda Sen also became pleased. So just by hearing mantra once from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this boy was initially reluctant to chant the holy name of the Lord, but later on composed a lot of very nice, beautiful prayers to glorify the Supreme Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself gave instruction to his devotees, Bala Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Gavo Krishna Nama, Krishna Vinu, Keha Ichu Nahi Bhavi Hana. The translation is, glorify Krishna, worship Krishna, and chant the names of Krishna. Do not think of anything other than Krishna. There is also an example in, I think this is from Chaitanya Mangala or Chaitanya Bhagavat. It is said that once Srinivasa Acharya, Raghunandan Acharya, etc., they were all planning to have a grand Sankirtan. And they also invited the local Mahantas or the devotees. And the Kirtan started. So at some point of time, the Kirtan became so ecstatic with so many mridangas and kartalas and so forth, that during the Kirtan, they all cried out for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya Prabhu, etc. And they repeatedly asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to appear before them. Now, Mahaprabhu already wound up his pastimes, Nityananda Prabhu, everybody wound up their pastimes and already left. But these devotees, they are all very pure devotees, and during the Kirtan, they pleaded for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to appear. But the Kirtan was so ecstatic, and they all rolled on the ground, and their bodies were smeared with dust from all around, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not restrain his affection for his devotees, and immediately he appeared before them. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then consoled the devotees and embraced all the devotees and left. The point is that they were all great devotees of the Lord. The example is given to understand that even in this age, Mahaprabhu is present in the form of the holy name of Krishna, and he can appear also if the glories are, if the names are chanted with purity and without any self-interest. And they were all these who, Srinivasacharya, were all great devotees were out from the parampara of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is another quote from Padma Purana which says this, Ata Shri Krishna Namati Namaved Rahyam Indriyaha Sevanamukhi Jihvadu Swayameva Spuratyataha. It says that because Krishna's form, qualities, pastimes, etc., are all on the absolute platform, material senses cannot therefore appreciate them. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders serving by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. So if one takes up to the process of chanting the holy name of the Lord and takes honors Krishna Prasada, that is enough. And if it is said in the body, the stomach is the most of all the sense gratifying activities, and the mouth and the tongue. So if one chants the holy name of the Lord and honors Krishna Prasada, that purifies all the senses of one's body, and then he can come to a stage of understanding the position of Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are various quotes. There is a quote from Adi Purana also, where the Lord says, by singing my names, the person will attain a position close to me. I make this promise, this person who Arjuna purchases me. This is a quote from Adi Purana, where one who chants the holy name of the Lord literally purchases the Lord himself. Then in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a reference that it says that if one chants the holy name of Hari, and then dies because of accidental misfortune, such as falling from the top of a house, slipping and suffering broken bones while traveling on the road, being bitten by a serpent, being afflicted with pain and high fever, or being injured by a weapon, one is immediately absolved from having to enter hellish life even though he is sinful. So, even if a person is sinful, but if he has chanted the holy name of the Lord and he leaves his body because of some accident or mishap, being bitten by a serpent or whatever, by hit by a vehicle, he becomes absolved from all reactions of sinful activities, and he doesn't have to enter hellish life. Otherwise, one who commits sinful activities, he has to suffer through hellish planets after death. Similarly, there is another quote in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam which says, authorities who are learned scholars and sages have carefully ascertained that one should atone for the heaviest sins by undergoing a heavy process of atonement, and one should atone for lighter sins by undergoing lighter atonement. Chanting the Hare Krishna mantra vanquishes all the effects of sinful activities, regardless of whether heavy or light. So we see that different processes of atonement. If for highly sinful activity, atonement has to be severe, and for lighter sinful activity, atonement must be lighter. But when one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it and vanquishes all the effects of sinful activities, whether they are heavy or whether they are light also. Then during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, there is a pastime that one of his devotees, Satyaraja Khan, he asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, my dear Lord, being a householder and a materialistic man, I do not know the process of advancing in spiritual life. I submit myself unto your lotus feet and request you to give me orders. So the Satyaraja Khan admitted that he was a grihastha and he didn't know, being a grihastha, what is right for his spiritual life, advancing in spiritual life. So he put a petition to the Lord, and Mahaprabhu replied, without cessation, continue chanting the name of Lord Krishna. Whenever possible, serve him and his devotees, the Vaishnavas. And simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one becomes free from all sinful reactions. One can complete the 9 courses of devotion service simply by chanting the holy name. So as you all know, 9 courses of devotional service are given in Srimad Bhagavatam: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasekanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmadeva. But one simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, all other processes of devotional services are already taken up. So chanting, that's why it starts with Shravanam and Kirtanam. That means hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord. So if one takes up the Shravanam and process of Kirtanam, that is enough to complete the other process of devotional service. Also, it is not that one has to take up all the other processes one by one. And this chanting the name of the Lord is so glorious that Mahaprabhu gave his prayers in the name of Shikshashtaka, and that one of the most important prayers, Cheto Darpana Mahajanam itself, the translation is, glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together and extinguishes the blazing fire of conditioned life of repeated birth and death. So this material world is a conditioned life, it's like a blazing fire. We recite in the morning prayer, Samsara Dava and Ahalita Loka. This whole material world is like a blazing fire. It comes at, it can be ignited at any point of time. Even a small quarrel can end up in a big fight or something, sometimes resulting into disasters. But this chanting of the Lord's holy name is such that it can please the heart of all the dust that has been accumulated for years, and then maybe even birth after birth, whatever we accumulated, they can be cleaned off. And it is a prime benediction for humanity at large because it is a life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of nectar, which we are always anxious. So everyone is looking for some or other nectar by which they can remain blissful in life. And this chanting of the holy name is one of the processes. Another quote in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Dinatvan Nama Naminoho. It says that the holy name of Krishna is transcendently blissful. It bestows all spiritual benediction, for it is Krishna himself, the reservoir of pleasure. So Lord Krishna's name and Lord Krishna, they are non-different. They are the same. So when one chants the holy name of Krishna, Krishna is blissful, so it can give that same bliss to the one who is chanting the name of Lord himself. Further, it says that Krishna name is complete and it is a form of all transcendental mellows. It is not a material name under any condition, and it is no less powerful than Krishna himself. So in our case, our name, our form, everything is different. But in the case of Lord, the Lord is absolute. The Lord's name, qualities, form, past tense, everything is absolute. So Krishna's name is also absolute. By chanting the name of Krishna, it is not less powerful than Krishna. Then further it is said, since Krishna's name is not contaminated by material qualities, there is no question of it being involved with Maya. Krishna's name is always liberated and spiritual. It is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. So this is because the name of Krishna and Krishna are identical. So Krishna and his name are identical. So Krishna's name means one, by chanting Krishna's name, one is situated in the spiritual platform and is always liberated. In Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, there is a quote given about the power of the chanting of the holy name. It says that third canto, 33rd chapter, 6th sloka. The translation says, to say nothing of spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers his obeisances, or even remembers him. Now, this particular sloka I picked up because one who chants, the conclusion of this sloka is that one who chants the holy name of the Lord, even if he is born in a family of dog eaters, means chandalas and lower class of men, he becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. That the point is that in the age of Kali Yuga, it is not possible to perform Vedic sacrifices because nobody is practically qualified. But by just chanting the holy name of the Lord, one becomes qualified to perform Vedic sacrifices, of course, which is not recommended in this age of Kali. By chanting the name of the Lord and hearing about his pastimes or even offering obeisances or remembers him. So this is the power of the holy name itself. It is said that one time during Srila Prabhupada's time, he was going on a morning walk when a hippie asked Srila Prabhupada, what will this Mahamantra of chanting the holy name do to a person? To which Prabhupada replied that it stops a person from dying because it can prevent one from entering the cycle of birth and death. That is the power of the holy name. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, there is a quote from him which states that in the entire 14 planetary systems, there is no other shelter than the chanting of the holy name. Because we chant with offenses, we don't see the result and we have some desires while chanting. So the point is that if we have desires with which we chant, then the holy name need not be realized. The power of the holy name need not be realized. So we should chant without expecting any results from that. And Srila Prabhupada did this perfectly, and that is the reason, properly, that is why the reason many of the Westerners also when the Westerners and Europeans also took up the process of chanting the holy name throughout the world, which we see today. That's a nice quote about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It says, Aradhya Bhagavan, Vajesha Tanayas Tadhrama Vrindavanam. That sloka translation says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Nanda Maharaja, is to be worshipped with his transcendental abode Vrindavanam. The most pleasing form of worship for the Lord is that which is performed by the gopis of Vrindavana. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless authority on everything, and pure love of Godhead is the ultimate goal of life for all men. This statement for which we have the highest regard are the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us his teachings, and the ultimate perfection of the human form of life is to achieve goal, love of Godhead. And that is possible in this Kali Yuga by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Before I conclude, there are two slokas I picked up from 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sukadeva Goswami instructs Parikshit Maharaj. He says, Kale dosh nidhiye rajan asti eko mahan punah kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vaje. He says that, my dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendent kingdom. So Kali Yuga is full of faults. There is no doubt about it. And but by simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from material bondage and enter into a transcendental kingdom. And one more quote is that next sloka, which says, Krite yad dhyayato Vishnum tretayam yajato makai dvapare paricharyayam tad dhari kirtanat. Translation says, whatever result was obtained in Shakti Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, in Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga by simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So whatever results that were obtained in the previous yugas by the previous other processes can be simply the same result can be attained by chanting in this Kali Yuga by simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Sri Jiva Goswami has quoted from Brahma Vaivarta Purana, this Athak Kalau Tapo Yoga Vidya Yajna Digha Kriyaha Shanga Bhavanti Na Kritaha Kushaler Api Dehi Bihi. It says that in the age of Kali, the practices of austerity, yoga meditation, deity worship, sacrifice, and so on, along with their other various subsidiary functions, are not properly carried out even by the most expert embodied souls. So, in this age of Kali, it is so degraded that whatever practices, austerities one might perform, yoga, meditation, deity worship, sacrifice, etc., they are all subsidiary functions and cannot be carried out by even the most expert embodied souls. So one should not get carried away by the process of sacrifice or yajna in this Kali Yuga. So by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can attain the same perfection which one has attained by performing in the Treta Yuga, where sacrifices were the method for deliverance. So the point is, ultimate conclusion is that chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the simplest and best means for deliverance from this material world. This is how the fire god Agni is praying, and the conclusion is that. So with this, I conclude the class for the day. Anyone has got any questions or any comments, they can ask me.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for that wonderful explanation of the holy name. That it can, get you out of different yugas, different practices are followed. But in Kali Yuga, I think the holy name is what takes you across the whole ocean of missiles. Thank you very much. Prabhu. I have no questions, Prabhu, and no comments. Just wanted to thank you for everything you explained us today.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions? Any other comments? So if not, I will take the class is concluded. Thank you all very much.